The wind howled through the skeletal trees, carrying snow in sharp, biting gusts. Each flake felt like a shard of ice against the skin, a reminder that winter in the northern wilds was not just cold, it was merciless. She shivered, wrapping her thin shawl tighter around her shoulders, but it offered little protection. The forest around her was a maze of white and grey, every tree a frozen sentinel, every shadow a lurking threat. She had nowhere to go. No one was coming for her. Her stomach growled, a hollow, cruel sound that seemed louder than the wind itself. Hunger had become her constant companion, gnawing at her, making her limbs weak, clouding her mind. Her breath came in ragged clouds, and every step felt like walking through lead. She collapsed onto a snow-covered log, her fingers turning numb, her eyes scanning the endless whiteness for anything that could save her. But the forest offered nothing. Only silence, only snow, only despair. She remembered the last time she had felt safe. It had been just days ago in a warm home filled with laughter and light. But that world was gone now, ripped away by betrayal. Those she had trusted had abandoned her, left her here to freeze, to starve, to vanish without a trace. And yet, somewhere deep inside, a small ember of hope flickered. Hope that maybe, just maybe, someone could still find her. Hours passed, or maybe it was minutes. Time had lost all meaning in the frozen wilderness. Every step she took felt like dragging herself through another layer of misery. Her legs ached, her fingers were stiff, and her lips were cracked and bleeding. And then she heard it, a sound so faint it could have been imagined. The rhythmic crack of wood breaking under heavy boots. Her heart skipped. Could it be? She forced herself to rise, her body trembling, and followed the sound. Through the snow-laden trees, she glimpsed a figure, broad-shouldered, moving with steady determination, carrying an axe over his shoulder. The stranger stopped, sensing movement, and their eyes met. He was alone, just like her, but there was something in his gaze, a warmth that cut through the cold, a glimmer of humanity she hadn't seen in days. "Hey!" she called, her voice barely more than a whisper, hoarse and desperate. He froze, scanning the forest, then stepped closer. Are you okay?" he asked, his voice cautious but gentle, a rare sound in the biting wind. She wanted to say yes, wanted to believe him, but the words caught in her throat. Instead, she sank to her knees in the snow, shaking, exhausted. He dropped to one knee beside her, pulling a thick blanket from his pack and wrapping it around her trembling shoulders. The warmth hit her like a wave, and for the first time in what felt like forever, she cried. "Don't worry," he said softly, almost as if he could feel every ache in her body. "I've got you." And in that moment, something shifted. She realized that maybe, against all odds, she wasn't alone anymore, even though she was safe for now. The forest was unforgiving, and they couldn't linger. He offered his hand, strong and steady. She took it, her fingers icy, her trust fragile but desperate. Together they moved through the snow, him leading the way with the confidence of someone who knew every hidden danger, every treacherous path. Hours turned into a slow, grueling march, and still she clung to him, silently grateful for every step he helped her take. She learned his name as they walked, Gideon, a lumberjack who had lived in these wilds all his life. He had scars on his hands, rough and calloused, evidence of years spent chopping wood and braving the wilderness. But his eyes were kind, patient, and attentive, never leaving her side, never judging her for the weakness he saw. At one point, the snow became so deep that they could barely lift their feet. She stumbled, falling into the powder, despair clawing at her again. I can't," she whispered, panic rising. "I won't make it." Gideon knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders. "Yes, you will," he said firmly. "You're stronger than you think, and I'm not leaving you here. Not ever." The determination in his voice sparked something in her. Maybe it wasn't just physical strength she needed. It was someone believing she could survive, someone refusing to let her give up. With his help, she pushed forward step by step, the forest slowly giving way to the faint glow of smoke in the distance. Finally, they reached a small cabin, smoke curling from its chimney, a beacon of warmth in the frozen expanse. He ushered her inside, lighting a fire and offering her a mug of steaming broth. She clutched it, the warmth seeping into her bones, tears running freely down her cheeks. "You're safe now," Gideon said quietly, sitting across from her, axe resting against the wall. "No one's going to hurt you here." She nodded, too exhausted to speak, letting the comfort of the fire, the food and his presence wash over her. And as she drifted into a deep restorative sleep, she realized that the forest hadn't claimed her after all. She had been found. She had been saved. But even as she slept, she sensed a story forming in her mind, a story of survival, of trust, of the fragile human bonds that could bloom even in the harshest winter. And she knew that her life, once abandoned in the frozen wilds, was beginning anew.